What happens at your table when a player cannot make it to game night? GameMasters here, and today I want to present up to you 8 ways that I've used at my own table for when a player cannot make it to game night. I don't use any one specific method, it just greatly depends on the situation in-game as to which of these will ultimately end up being incorporated. Now, the neat thing about this list is that they can be used in almost any tabletop role-playing game, not just for Dungeons & Dragons, but you can use these in Morkborg, Pathfinder, pretty much any system out there. Here they are in no particular order. NPC Control. Sometimes as the DM, I will take control of the absent player's character during the session. This ensures that the character can follow along with the party's goals and gain experience along the way, so that they're not left behind when the player returns. Other reasons I might take control is if that character was a pivotal part of the evening's plot line. It wouldn't be fair for the other players that did show up to have to do something else just because one player couldn't make it. Of course, this goes without say that you'd need the player's permission to run their character in their absence. But in the event that they don't want that there is always a temporary absence. And I'll explain in-game that perhaps the specific character is going to remain behind at the camp to guard it, or to run back to town for supplies, or perhaps they must return home to tend to a family matter. Or maybe they're just researching the bad guy's weaknesses. This puts that absent player's character out of the game for that session without a major impact. But where this method can get kind of tricky is when the previous session ends before the mighty battle or in the middle of exploring a cavern. Another alternative is a player handover. Similar to me taking over that absent player's character, only this one involves another player taking over that character. This can ensure that the character remains an active part of the session. Also, too, it's best for that absent player to provide some specific pointers to whomever is taking over their character for the evening, just to keep track of the actions and personality to remain consistent. I liken this method to something similar to when a different actor replaces a main actor in daytime soap opera shows. What? You guys don't watch General Hospital for your role-playing inspiration? Side quests or solo adventures can also be a viable option, but this can take a little bit of planning. Let's say that a player cannot make it to regular game night, but can the day before or the day after. I've created up a short side quest for them, and the two of us just run their character through that scenario, just me and the other player. It's usually a fetch play. Go here, obtain this, and return to the party, and kind of goes hand in hand with the temporary absence that we talked about a few moments ago. This way the player can still be involved and productive. And if you'd like to be involved in the growth of this channel, I'll ask that if you're enjoying this video, to please give it a thumbs up and smash that subscribe button if you aren't already following. That lets me know that I'm doing something right. Being captured is another method that we've used, though not often. Again, it's all based on the current scenario, but it's possible that the character was captured by the enemy and the players that were able to show up now must mount a rescue mission. With the absent player's character locked up, there is really no need to roleplay out them being captured, but the present players can navigate their way to the cell or oubliette in an attempt to mount a rescue. Speaking of oubliettes, I gotta thank today's oubliette supporters. They've been members for a while of this channel, and I simply cannot thank them enough. If you'd like to check out membership, I'll leave a link down in the description. Remote play is another one that we've done. I don't really care for it, but it goes fine. The player had other responsibilities, but was able to zoom in. Maybe it was FaceTime. Regardless, they were able to remote in and play that way without missing out on too much of the night's game. I'm not a fan of this because it's to me just kind of distracting personally. And I've got crappy internet, so the call itself was choppy at times, and there was a lot of, what? Can you repeat that? The other players don't mind it, but it's a little taxing for me. A pocket dimension is something that I've used to use when I first started DMing quite a long time ago. Basically, the absent player's character would either get frozen or absorbed into a pocket universe, and nothing could harm them, nor could they interact with anything. It was explained that an evil curse mysteriously fell upon the character. And this, too, I'm not a big fan of because it's too forced. It's not organic and kind of locks things up. Everyone understood why I did this. The player character was absent, and as mentioned, we used this method when I started first DMing. But since I've developed other methods with absent players' characters, the pocket dimension was quickly left behind. Role-playing breaks is also a viable method of dealing with an absent player. There is no law of the land that insists you must play that role-playing game that evening. Sometimes the other players simply don't want to play if their friend cannot make it, but instead of just flat out canceling the evening's gathering, we'll play something else. A board game is fun, or we may just go out to dinner, or we may just fire up Netflix, order pizza, and bullshit as we watch whatever movie we've decided on. Those 8 methods aren't the only ones that I've used when a player cannot make it to a game night, but they're the ones that we use most often. Remember, just communicate with your group and choose an option or method that works best with your group and everyone involved. Being flexible based on the given situation is the number one key to ensuring that everyone, even absent players, have an enjoyable experience. The real trick comes into play when you have multiple absent players. Now, a little while ago, I made a couple of videos on world building and on creating big, massive cities for your campaign. And I highly recommend watching one of those videos next. But talk to me down in the comments. What are some other methods that you and your table have used for when a player is absent? Again, let me know in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you find solace in knowing your missing ally is tending to matters unseen.